Hello, hello. How are you guys? All right, so tonight is Monday tip of the week, and I have a feeling if I go and look at the poll that it may just be the last Monday tip of the week. So we'll see. I gotta look at the poll and see what it said. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Raven Woods, and I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks the IEP. And I help parents gain the knowledge and confidence to become the CEO of their IEP meeting. So if you are new, hello, Jennifer. If you are new to watching me live, say one, two times, I'll even give it to you at three. Post a one below. Okay, say hello, tell me who you are. If you want to offer anything about your children, please do. I want this group or this page, this is actually the page, to be different than other stuff out there. Like feel free to just put yourself out there and make it really about your child and hopefully getting help for what they need and what's appropriate for them. So, and if you're an oldie but goodie, you guys know what to do. Post it two below. Okay. So really quick. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Jesse, Leanne. All right. So again, I am Raven Woods and I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks the IEP. And I help parents gain the knowledge and confidence to become the CEO of their IEP meeting. And it's funny, when I started saying that, it was like it kind of just threw up on me, like how you can just talk and talk and talk and you feel like you're throwing up on somebody. Well, it was one of those things where it just was so truth. You know what I mean? When you speak your truth, it just comes natural. And it's going to kind of go with today's subject, honestly, how things just flow. Hear me out here. So, today's tip of the week is all about what services your child could get, are entitled to, would be most appropriate for them, or not. Okay? And you guys know I keep it pretty real. Okay. I'm just kidding. I keep it real. But I do that on purpose because, in the special education arena, we can at times get things kind of sugar coated to us, or people feel bad for the parent who has the child with special needs. And I have a child with special needs, and I don't want things sugar coated for me. I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I don't want people anything like that. When I tell somebody that my child has autism, the worst thing that they could say to me is, "Oh, I'm sorry." What do you mean you're sorry? I'm not sorry. I love her to death. She cracks me up. She's completely changed me as a person in a whole, made me a better person because I look at things differently. So what are you sorry for, So anyway, long story short, today we're going to talk about, I've noticed that a lot of people really want to know, I want to know what my child's entitled to. What can my child get? What can I ask for? Well, you want me to still keep it real with you? It depends, guys. So, I know most of you know that I have a course, and I'm not going to push that on you. I'm not, because actually the doors are closed right now. But I'm going to tell you that when you start asking yourselves the right questions, you will know what your child is entitled to. If you do what I ask you to do, I know it's hard for us moms to do what other people say to do, but you know what? I had to learn for myself, and I'm 42, almost 43, that in making as many mistakes as I've made in my life, that if somebody's gonna come out and show me how to do something in the right way now and not have to learn the hard way, I'm all for it. Where before, no way. I want to learn the hard way. I had to learn, through trial and error, like this IEP process. And that was the way I flowed. So just letting you know that when it comes to services, accommodations, modifications for your child, it's all different. Someone recently posted in the group. If you haven't joined the group, hop on over there. It's great. But they recently posted, hey, how much speech therapy does your child get? And in my mind, and she wasn't asking me, she was asking the group, how much does your child get in speech therapy? And in my mind, I was thinking, I don't think bad of her because she asked that. I mean, it's a normal question. But in my mind, I'm thinking, well, what my child gets or what your child gets or what somebody else's child gets may not be what her child gets because her child could be completely different from all of our children. So that's where you have to break it down, okay? So start asking yourself questions. Where are your concerns with your child? And get real with it. I don't care what their favorite food was. That's not getting to know your child. You have to get to know your child. I don't care what their favorite food is. I don't care what their favorite color is. That's not getting to know your child. That's liking their preferences, okay? When you get to know your child, that doesn't mean that you know the quirks that they do as far as when they go play or who they play with or if they play by themselves or if they don't play. Those are little things that I'm not looking for. What I'm looking for is, what does your child do and why do they do it? Okay, so think about different things. Like, let's just say you send your child to bed. Do they go straight to bed? Do they throw a fit? Do they start asking for water and drinks and snacks and whatever? Do they throw a complete fit? Do they have a meltdown? If they have a meltdown, why do you think they have a meltdown? How is their meltdown? Is it self-inflicting? Is it hurting themselves? Is it, just kind of an attention-seeking behavior? There's so many questions that you need to start asking yourself to really dissect what your child truly needs. Now, you have to get real with the fact that your child may not need everything that you want them to have. They may not need that. What you have to look at is, what do they need in the educational setting for them to do what needs to happen for them to have educational progress, for them to continue to progress as in moving towards adulthood. Okay? So think about behavior, and generally speaking, in one area of concern. Okay? What behaviors do they have? What is behind those behaviors? When do those behaviors happen? What do those behaviors look like? Start categorizing it. Okay? So if you start seeing behaviors, and I'm not talking about a typical meltdown that could be completely age appropriate. All right? I have a 14-year-old. She's totally cussed me out at times. Is that autism or is that age appropriate? Could be either. But the whole point is you have to dissect the behavior, all right? And you don't have to be a specialist to do that. You are the parent. You know in your gut what's up, all right? So go with that, all right? And typically, you're always right when it comes to your kids. So if your child's having a meltdown, is it because it's normal? They're just having a meltdown because they want what they want and they can't get it? Is it because something triggered them? And if so, what was it? Why were they triggered? What was happening before? Okay, start asking questions yourself. And then when that is all kind of figured out, then you know, hands down, that child more than likely needs a FBA so that they can then get what's called a BIP to be put in place. All right? If there's behavior issues, then you also know they also fall into the category of behavior therapy or even applied behavior analysis, which is ABA therapy. Okay? So that's where you can go down that road a little bit. All right? There's another road to go to ABA therapy as well, but hear me out. All right? Then we got speech therapy. Let's cover speech therapy. So speech therapy is obviously if they're nonverbal, if they have a speech impediment. I have a girlfriend whose children are bilingual and they have speech issues and they don't even have special needs. So they get speech because they have speech issues due to the fact that their mom is, American and their dad is Salvadorian, and they are bilingual. So speech is an issue. So your child could have speech and not have special needs, So start thinking, okay, in the speech category, that is obvious. All right, that's something that you just know. And then, of course, impact of disability comes into play as far as how much, etc. All right, and I'll get into that in just a minute. All right, then another service is occupational therapy. So occupational therapy is not how you hold a pencil always. Okay, it includes that. It could be tying your shoes. It could be, sitting on a ball and figuring out where you are in space. There's a therapy called astronaut training, which helps children who have sensory-based issues kind of get back into the present. All right. It's actually a really cool therapy. My daughter did it for many years. Awesome. Look up astronaut training. Okay. And it really helps with sensory issues. So if your child has sensory issues, OT is the way to go. Okay. Think sensory OT, sensory OT. Okay. Because it really works on that as a whole. It's not just holding a pencil, how you write, how big you write, how small you write, all that kind of stuff. It's so much more than that. And sensory issues is a key concept of how OT helps them. Okay. It helps them in so many different ways. I can't even tell you. Okay. So occupational therapy can really help our kids in many different ways. Okay. And we're going to get into how much in a second. All right. So when you think about occupational therapy, it's not always as obvious as speech therapy. Okay. We all know that speech therapy is kind of, okay, a given if there's a speech impediment or nonverbal, etc. Okay. Or the words aren't flowing right, or they're not being sounded out correctly. Right. So occupational therapy, I noticed that a lot of people are a little bit more confused as to what an occupational therapy entails. Okay. And it entails a whole hell of a lot more than you possibly think. Okay. And it's an amazing therapy that actually can coincide with speech therapy at times. So years ago, my daughter, and I know multiple other kids that I've worked with in regards to the IEP and also as a teacher, had, say, for example, speech twice a week, OT twice a week, but then they had one time a week where speech and OT came together and worked together. So the speech therapist and occupational therapist worked together, and that was in the school setting and out of the school setting. So it's not, just specified for out of the school setting. Okay. And then you have therapies like physical therapy, which that's kind of like speech, you kind of know if you need physical therapy. But there's some things within physical therapy that is kind of underlying where it could have to do with posture. It could have to do with low muscle tone. Just little tiny things that child may need for extra support. All right. So you as the parent have to look at, where the need is. How big is the need, and be really reasonable with yourself. Okay. So you'll look at behavior. So that's FBA, BIP, applied behavior analysis, behavior therapy. All right. And that could also go in line with self-inflicting behaviors. It could go in line with all kinds of things. And it also goes in line with what's called a safety issue in regards to a child. And it could, come into play with a one-on-one. Okay, so there's another service that you can, it's really an accommodation that you could have in play for your child based off the need in regards to what's going on. All right, so you have to categorize them. It's like, put it on a piece of paper. All right, put behavior, speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy. All right, then the next one you're going to add is music therapy, dance therapy. Okay. And there's other therapies out there. You have psychological, you have counseling, you have social work, you have all those different things, related services, right? All right. But the main ones are the ones I just named. All right. And so we were just ending with physical therapy. And physical therapy, just think low muscle tone, think any type of physical issue. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't mean, some people think, in just because it's part of how our brains work, is they think, oh, you just can't walk. Well, there's so much more to physical therapy. I had surgery on my ulnar collateral ligament just recently on December 20th, and it's still swollen. You can probably see it, my thumb. So I've had occupational therapy and physical therapy on my thumb, you know? So, and that was just because they had to do movement with my thumb. They made me do different exercises, all right? And see, you can kind of see that it's still swollen. So they had me like rubbing it and that sort of thing to get the scar tissue pushed down and that sort of thing. And believe it or not, this type of surgery, it's like a 6-month healing process. But that is in itself, this is my thumb, right? You can't, believe it or not, you can't do shit if you can't use your thumb. But like, I'm always massaging it, trying to get that scar tissue out, because the scar tissue is actually more painful than the injury of tearing my ulnar collateral ligament. But it just goes to show that that's how simple, I mean, it's a painful thing, and I had surgery, but like, that's how simple occupational and physical therapy can be. I'm just giving you an example. So, and this is, the physical therapy helps with the movement of my thumb, and the occupational therapy gives me different things to do along with it. And then also she works out some of my the pain, and gives me like clay to work with and play with. I have all that kind of clay and stuff like that. So it just goes to show there's different therapies for different reasons, and each of our children are individual and unique. And so you as the parent, it's good to put out there, hey, how much does your child get for this? Or, hey, what do you think about this? But I'm just going to keep it real with you. You're the one who knows best in regards to what related service in school that your child is going to most benefit from. Now, once you have that in your brain, we all have this kind of inner instinct and inner feeling and gut feeling, of what we know that is best for our children. And sometimes, okay, maybe a lot of times for some of us, we want validation for that. Okay, so we reach out on Facebook. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? What's your thought process on this? And that's good. It's good to brainstorm. It's good to ask other people. But in the end of the day, and at the end of the day, you have to go with what your gut still says. So if I say this and your gut says this, go with your gut. Don't go with what I said. Go with your gut. And if it's wrong, then you change it up and you do it again. But parents typically know what's best for their child. All right. So if you start looking at how you dissect the related services, because I've gotten a lot of questions and a lot of people say, I wish I just knew what my child was entitled to. Don't ask the school for that, because they're not going to say, hey, here's the silver platter. Here's the services. Take your pick. They don't do that. All right. So you as the parent have to, go on the outside and also get your IEEs and, your evaluations, and kind of have that validated. And then you also need to just have it in your brain and in your mind of the things that you've seen, things that have transpired, etc., of what your child may need. Like I said, speech is pretty kind of set in stone, right? PT, somewhat set in stone, Occupational therapy is the one that should really be set in stone, because that's where transitions come into play, believe it or not. That's where how you write comes into play. That's where tying your shoes comes into play. Do you know my daughter years ago, in physical therapy, the school system bought her a bike and taught her how to ride a bike. That was part of her physical therapy. So you have to start thinking outside the box of all the different therapies that your child possibly could benefit from. I see you guys posting. I'm not ignoring you, okay? I'm totally not. I just want to stay focused and then I'll get to you. So if you're just hopping on, I'll stop for a second. If you're just hopping on and you're new to watching me live, my name is Raven Woods and I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks the IEP. And I help parents gain the knowledge and confidence to become the CEO of their IEP meeting. If you are new, post a 1 below so I can say hi, get to know you. And if you're an oldie but goodie, post a 2 below so I can say hi. You guys know the drill. All right, so post a 1 below if you're new, 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Okay? And I see everybody's questions coming up. I'm going to get to it. So I want you guys to just start. You know how people say you need to just take time for you? All right, and that's important for children, for parents of children with special needs, because we go through a lot. We have a lot on our plate that a lot of people just don't get, right? And when you take that time for you, and I'm not saying at nighttime right before you go to bed, and that's the only time you have, when you take that time for you and you can really sit and think about the things that are important to you, or how your day was, or if you're working out, or whatever it is you're doing, to just take that time to take care of you, because if you don't take care of you, you can't take care of others in the best way possible. So you have to really think of things, and I always get out a piece of paper. I always keep a journal, and I'll have to show you guys my favorite journal. It's pretty rockin' awesome. It's one of my favorite journals in the whole wide world. And you can't get it at Staples. But it's such a cool journal. So I'll have to post that for you guys so you guys can use it or whatever. And I have no affiliations to it at all. It's just such a cool journal and I love it. So I'll have to share it with you. But start writing things down. I know that is hard. It's a hard concept for some, because why do I have to do any more work than I already have to do, But when you start writing things down, it formulates things in your brain and it makes it a little bit more real. All right? It's just how things are, okay? And then you're able to really dissect the positives and negatives of each thing that you're writing down. So if you know, okay, my child needs more speech. Say your child is in, let's talk about time frame. All right, we talked about dissecting it. We talked about writing it on a piece of paper, write it across, write behavior, speech, OT, PT, dance, music, okay? And going down, you want to start writing why, okay? So across, you're writing what therapy. Going down, you're writing why, okay? And I mean, write the why, not a sentence, just, it could be handwriting. It could be holds a pencil, like this. A lot of kids will hold pencils like this, and they'll kind of write versus, hold it like that. So just start, they can't tie their shoes. Another thing that you can actually get therapy for is a child that is at a certain age and is not potty trained. Schools won't tell you that, but that's actually something that you can get support with. And services and accommodations for, versus masking the issue and just taking care of it and keeping them in diapers, versus actually working on it and them being able to do that if that's possible, if it's physically possible. The other thing after you have it on paper is, if there's question, go to an outside doctor. Developmental pediatrician's amazing to really kind of collaborate and dissect. You can go to speech evaluation or OT evaluation and get more insight as to what they have to say in regards to it and how much, okay? And remember, when you take that to the school system, they have to take it into consideration. That doesn't mean it's given to you. All right. So it's something you can use as a form of proof and validation of what you're saying is accurate. But you also have to have other things to back it up. You have to know what to say it, how to present it, and then persuade them. That's kind of where my PPPN came into play. Because a lot of parents they'll Google a whole bunch of things, which there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But the problem with that is we Google. But where in Google does it teach us how to implement the knowledge we're getting on Google? It doesn't. It doesn't teach it, and that's what has to happen in an IEP. It's not one of those things where we can have all this knowledge, all right, because this is what I did for 6.5 years of learning how to figure out this whole foreign language of an IEP process. And I gained all this knowledge, all right? I thought I gained a lot of knowledge getting master's degrees, but I had to gain more knowledge in a totally different category that had nothing to do with my master's degrees. And I had to formulate in my brain what all this autism stuff was, along with the fact of just learning about it and learning about the fact that I was still in denial and going through that hurt part of just finding out my child was just diagnosed, and then figuring out how what it meant and what it meant for me and my family, and then all this overwhelm, and then trying to figure out this IEP process. It was a huge clusterfuck. And then I'm Googling. I mean, when I say I got my PhD in Google, I mean, I got 5 doctorates in when it comes to Google. All right. And all it did was educate me more, but it also stupefied me more. All right. And what I mean by that is certain things on Google are just not accurate. And, any gut putty can put anything on Google. And so that's why when you go into the IEP, they don't care what's on Google. What they care about is what's scientifically based, research-based, peer-reviewed, et cetera, et cetera. Do you see what I'm saying? So you can Google all you want. And I'm not downplaying Google. What I'm saying to you is Google does not teach you how to plan, prepare, present, persuade, and negotiate. All right. So what I mean by that, okay, that's my system. Okay. That's my whole trademark system. But what I'm saying to you is Google does not teach you how to walk into that IEP confident with knowledge and to be able to run that meeting like the CEO that you should be. The CEO that you have within you, and you don't need anybody else doing it for you. You got it in you. You really do. And, it's bothersome sometimes to me, even though I'm an advocate, that parents want someone there at all times. I want to get an advocate. I want to get an advocate. I want to get an advocate. And I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate that wants to teach you how to become an advocate. I don't want to always go sit in IEP meetings. I want to teach you how to do it, and you go advocate for your child like I do mine. And guess what? You got it in you just like I do. Once you have the knowledge and the process in play, it's rinse and repeat, and practice makes perfect. It's the process you have to learn. That's it. No advocate is going to advocate for your child better than you. And if you believe that advocate is going to advocate for your child better than you, then something's wrong. I'm just going to keep it real. You advocate for your child. You have it in you. Take the time to learn the process. Once you learn the process, the best advocate for your child is you. Don't let fear get in the way, because the knowledge is there. You just need to learn a little bit of the process to be able to go implement it in that IEP meeting and get things done. Now, I will tell you, I always get stuff done. Part of me is a little bit sarcastic in it because I just do. But what I will say is it's not always done right away. All right. I've learned to have patience. I fought for a reading program for my child that's $34,000 every 12 weeks that she got. But guess what? It took me 5 months of fighting. I mean, and I fought. It was not easy, but I was not giving up. All right. And I had my documentation. I had the things that I had, and I knew that it was something that had to happen, and I was not giving up. And I knew that I knew my stuff, and I believed in myself enough to not give up, because that's why they lingered time. They figured, oh, let's give her a settlement that, you know, she will think I'm not that stupid. I'm not signing a settlement that took away all my rights, but you're going to give my child 3 12-week sessions of a $34,000 program. You can kiss my butt. I ain't signing that. So I continued with the fact that I knew that it was needed and appropriate for my child, and I don't have to sign anything. I don't have to sign a settlement. I don't have to sign nothing, because by law, they have to provide what's needed and appropriate for my child. So I stayed persistent and didn't let their time frame affect me. It pissed me off, but it didn't affect the fact that I kept fighting for it. All right. So when I say that I'm successful in what I do, I also am successful of understanding the process. And the process isn't a one and done. The process is not go into an IEP meeting and everything's perfect. Sometimes it just takes time. It takes time going back to the table, going back to the table, going back to the table. And I don't mean forever. I just mean that you have to be persistent. You have to let them know that you're not playing games, that you'll show up at that table every 30 days if you have to, and that you're going to give them hell. You want them to say to you what they say to me. Like, I'll give you an example of what exactly was said to me recently. Raven, if we don't try, because I said, you know, my daughter needs this, my daughter needs this, my daughter needs this. And they said, Raven, the only reason we're doing this is because if we don't try, we know that you won't get off our backs. Cool. I am totally cool with that, because they're absolutely right. But that's what you want them to say about you. You want them to know that you're not going to give up, that you're not going to get off their back, that you're going to stay persistent in what's needed and appropriate for your child. And that's the difference between people that have success and the people that don't have success, and just the general world, not IEPs, okay? People that stay persistent and keep on the path and realize that once they're at the heap of that hill, right before they go down is when it gets the hardest. And that's where most people quit. And I tell people, stay consistent. Right when it's the worst and you're the most pissed off, right when you're ready to break down, you've probably had a total mental breakdown, cried on somebody's shoulder, it's the worst day ever, you don't know what else to do, that's right when things are going to take a change. All right? You just have to stay persistent and believe in what you're fighting for. So when you dissect on your piece of paper your speech, OT, PT, music, dance, etc. I like dance therapy. Music therapy is great too. So it just depends on your child. So, I mean, Skylar would love music therapy if it had to do with violin, but they don't offer that. So she wouldn't do well with music therapy because it would be boring to her, because it's not something that she likes, you know? Where dance therapy is really good for flow and for children who have that sporadic movement. When Skylar was younger, I think we went through 6 ceiling fans because she'd just throw the ball and it broke every single one of our ceiling fans. Anybody else have that problem? Because there was no control there, right? So that's PT, and then dance really came into play to actually work with PT and adaptive PE to help with that type of that movement that had no constraint, you know? So just stick with one thing, all right? Start with one thing. All right. Have you ever heard of that book, One Thing? I think it's called One Thing. And think about what's most important to you right now. All right. So if that's speech or OT or whatever, write that down. Write it on a piece of paper. All right. If you envision it, put it on paper. And then why do you want it? All right. There's certain, and then if you'd like, post, if you're in the group, post it over on the group. If you want, I'll post a post and say post your envisions for your child. And I'll give you some input if you'd like. I'm sure other parents will too. And that's, of course, if you're open to that. So, I'll post a post and I'll say, what is it that let me see your list. All right. And I'll be able to tell you, okay, that's sufficient for more therapy. If you say, I get 30 minutes, 30 minutes is a crock of shit. I'll just be honest with you. If you think about it, so for a young child, I would say to fourth grade. All right. That's just my opinion. 30 minutes is sufficient. All right. 30 minutes twice a week is the norm. All right. One time a week, your child better have hardly any issues, because one time a week does nothing. All right. One time a week at 30 minutes. So you want at minimum 2 times a week at 30 minutes. So for example, speech or OT. All right. And then, but if you're starting with the 1, to build to the 2 is really not that hard. You just have to create that case for yourself. And the first part of creating that case is put it on paper. All right. And if you want to post it, I will post a post that I'll say, everybody put your stuff under here. And then I'll look at it. I'll tell you if, okay, this is how you can kind of create a case around this. All right. Off of this reason. Because you know how I said, write speech, OT, and then write the reason you need either more or you need it, period. All right. And what I'm good at, okay, because I'm not good at everything, that's for sure. So what I'm good at is creating a case based off something of information that people give me. That's why when you guys post things, I ask a crap ton of questions, because the more I know, the more I can figure out in my brain how to present it in the right way. That's what I've gotten really good at. Taking information and presenting it and getting it done. Taking information, presenting it, and getting it done. I've just gotten really good and proficient with that. But it came with a lot of practice and the knowledge of how to take it and then make it to something that impacts my child. I've learned that process. So that's what I'm saying to you guys. Once you learn that whole transferable process, just like if you go to my website at autismmomrocksiep.com and you click on my educational vault, there's a product that I sell that's called the 5 Laws, which is the top 5 laws and idea. And I also talk about the number 1 statute. And in the top 5 laws, I give you an 1.5-hour video of how you break down those laws so that you can then implement them and flip them into making them about what your child's impact of disability is and how you can gain more services, accommodations, and modifications in regards to your child's impact of disability, okay? Based off those top 5 laws, because those are the top 5 laws that you'll always use. None of the other laws really matter. So once you know the number 1 statute and you know the top 5 laws, you're able to then flip it and make it about what your child's impact of disability is, and then go and argue the fact, I call it persuade the team to then give your child what's needed and appropriate based off of idea. All right. So that's a hard one for them to argue. So wrapping up, going back to writing things down, writing what you need, writing what your child's needs are and why, okay? Take video to help you process where that need really lies. What's the underlying issue, all right? Because once you know, it's not about you have to know what the underlying issue is or that even matters. But the reason why it's so imperative for you to know is because that's where your argument comes from. Your argument doesn't come from the problem. Your argument comes from what stems the core of the problem. Where does it start? What is causing it? Okay? So there's something that happens before the problem is visible. okay? And that's what has to be kind of thrown. It's like taking sand and like, if you go like this, it goes all over the place. But what's up in there is what crabs and all that kind of. I'm so weird at these freaking analogies. But you know, you got crabs and stuff all in the sand that come out at the beach, and there's all kinds of stuff in there. But you got to dig deep to get to it. Now they run away. But I'm just saying, you know, I'm so stupid when it comes to analogies. I'm crazy. But it's how my brain thinks, all right? So when you start ruffling feathers, so to speak, that's when you kind of get the story, all right? The story comes out when you ruffle somebody's feathers, all right? The truth comes out when you ruffle somebody's feathers, right? So that's what you have to do. You got to ruffle your child's feathers and figure out where that problem is. Where is it coming from? Not what you visually always see. All right. So hopefully that's making some sense. I have no problems whatsoever if you post below your questions. If something's not processing right, sometimes because of how my brain works, I can be very scientific. I can be very, I formulate things and how they're implemented. And sometimes I don't make sense to the general public. So if you need to pick my brain, set up a discovery call. I can post the link below for you if you're interested in a discovery call so that we can talk about more. And then I can find out exactly, okay, what the issue is, what's it stemming from. And then we can talk about what services, accommodations, and modifications would be appropriate for you to really fight for. And sometimes it's appropriate for you to just fight for one at a time. Once you get that in play, then go back to the table and fight for the other. Because when you start fighting for a whole bunch at one time, it's kind of like when, you know, have you ever had a relationship? It could be husband, wife, you know, friend, whatever. And you don't really know what the problem is, but they all of a sudden flip the heck out on you. And you're just like, where did that come from? We've all experienced that, right? I have, you know, where it just bam, like, you know, my husband and I have done it before where, you know, he was just in a mood and all this stuff came out and I'm just like, whoa, what did I do? You know, and we've learned to, you know, communicate and, you know, relationships take work. But my point is if you've ever had that done, that's how it feels to the team. All right. And they're going to react the same way you react when someone just blows up on you. Okay. So blowing up or throwing up on somebody with, I need this, I need this, I need OT, PT, speech, dance, ABA, one-on-one. They're going to be like, have a nice day. You know what I mean? So if you want to get things done, you have to know the damn process. You have to. All right. I know there's a lot, you know, there was this one lady who called me last week and she was one of the ladies, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying this or she's going to chew me out. But it was funny because she was one that would always post that she kind of knew it all, you know. I don't know it all, but she did. And so she posted a lot. You know, she'd always answer a bunch of questions on the group. And, you know, I just kind of let it go. I was like, okay, you know, leave it alone. People have a right to their opinions. So unless it completely goes against idea, then I don't usually say anything. You know, people can post opinions all they want. So, or they can post things based off of what their situation is or give their advice, etc. But unless it's against idea, I don't usually chime in. And she was always one of those people that she had to say something, or, you know, she had to put her 2 cents in, or, and it was funny, but I was just like, really? So anyway, she set up a discovery call with me last week, and me being me, I told her, you know, I said, you know, I noticed, you know, that you always, you know, posted that everything was good and you knew what you were doing and, this, that, and the other. And, I tried to keep it as nice as possible. But it was my point of the story is it was funny because she actually was coming to me because things weren't all that great. And she was quick to say, yeah, I've had all these experiences, but right now they're not working out in my favor at all. And this is what's going on. So she proceeded to tell me what was going on. And it was enlightening to me because it taught me a lesson to not automatically judge a situation based off of how somebody's doing something. Like she was quick to answer questions really quickly. She was quick to offer her 2 cents really quickly. And she wasn't like off on, a different level or anything, but she was always kind of like that person, like first one to comment, or always was going to comment. And then to find out that, she had a lot of passion and she wants to help others, but at the same time that her situation isn't working out right now. So it made me realize that, she's a helper. She wants to help other people. And I thought that was really nice. I thought it was really nice that, even though it appeared that she was just, a know-it-all, I guess would be the word. Because we had a conversation about this because I told her how I kind of felt and, that I was surprised that she had called me. And it was just interesting. It was interesting to see that she just wanted to help that's all it was, so it wasn't, I shouldn't have read into it because she just wanted to help other people, which is awesome. And yet her situation is not so great right now, and so we're handling that. But I just wanted to let you guys know that, just because it goes to show that not always, even though we've had good experiences possibly with the IEP, which we've all had great IEP meetings, I'm sure, that it's not always going to be perfect and we're always going to need help. And once you learn the process, and that's one thing she actually said to me, is she said, I want to learn the process. I thought I knew the process, but I don't, because things aren't working out anymore. They were, but they're not anymore. And that's the thing about IEPs, is they always change. They always flow, and that's just how it is, So I will make a post over on the group. So if you're not part of the group, go over to the group. I'm going to put up a post. I'll do it by tomorrow. And I'll say, hey, post below your charts, all right, of what your child needs. And I will truly step in and help you kind of formulate what therapies would be ideal for your child. But you got to make sure you post below it, okay? So if you have speech, OT, all these things across, I need to see the reasoning, all right? Don't write a book. Just write 1 or 2 things of what the issues are and then build down. So number 1 is this. Number 2 is this under OT. Number 3 is this. And then, we'll be able to formulate together and kind of, hone it in and then figure out which one you're going to go after first and why and what your case should be. Okay? So I got to get off here because I have my course students. We have our face-to-face Zoom chat tonight. So I got to get off here so that we can have that, and I'm not up all night because we're actually going to do some role play, and that should be fun. I can't wait to see how that's going to go. But hello, Jennifer and Leanne and Jessie and Nicole. Hello, hello. Post a 1 below if you're new. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Hey, Stacy and Hernandez. And is it Charlene? Welcome. You guys are all new. Hi, Tara and Shanine. Gladys, hello, hello. We have Brittany. Hey, Brittany, are you going to be on tonight? You're on here. Are you going to be on the Zoom tonight? We have Bridget. Hello, hello. Julie, hi, how are you? And we have Sammy, hello. Hey, Nicole. And we have Stacy. Oh, hi. I think I said hi to you already. And Kasara, is it Kasara? Hello. So welcome, guys, welcome. And then we have Mara Diaga, is it? And Tabitha. All right. Hello, hello. Hey, Sabrina. Hey, Cynthia. So post a 1 below if you are new and post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. So I have got to, I love the crab part. Yeah, that was one hell of an analogy, huh? I mean, if anything, I hope I entertain you with my crazy analogies. I know they're not the norm. My husband even has said, where do you come up with these? But you know what? They make sense to me, all right? I mean, when you dig in the sand, what happens? It goes everywhere. And at the beach in the sand, I always see those little crabbies and, you know, all the different things in the sand. So it just goes to show that when you ruffle feathers and you ruffle things up, that things happen, right? So thank you for that. All right. So I promise I am going to come back and answer these questions. I promise. All right. But I got to get off. I got to go on my face-to-face Zoom chat with my students. And I will talk to you guys soon. I hope that you were able to get something out of this. I know that it's been a big issue and something that a lot of people have talked about as far as what services can I get for my child. And if you actually do the work, all right, don't dare take my course if you don't want to do work. But if you do the work as far as what I'm asking you here and making just on a regular piece of paper, you know, just take a piece of paper like this. Look, this is my 504 versus IEP. But just take a piece of paper, all right, and across, right, you know, OT, PT, speech, dance, whatever, and then draw a line and then go down with lines and put the reasoning why. You can put 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, all right? And then it's organized under each thing and you're able to write down. And then it's helpful to you because you're able to visually see what is important, all right? Because all the things that you write down are not going to be things that you argue. They're not. Some of them we're going to throw right on out. But some of them are going to be worth a whole lot. And those are the ones that we're going to focus on. All right. So you may write 10 things under OT and only 4 matter. But guess what? Those 4 are going to be hardcore. And they're going to be the ones and the things that are super important. All right. So, and then everything else that you wrote under OT are going to be handled anyway in those more than likely 4 things. All right. But we're going to focus on the things that matter, and putting it on paper is going to be the way for you to, it's like a process of elimination, and you're able to formulate what is solid for you to go and present. All right. And convince them that this is what's needed and appropriate for your child, and also get the right amount of time. All right. An appropriate amount of time really for a child at least 4th grade up is 45 to 60 minutes at least twice a week. All right. At the most 4 times or 3 times a week, but at minimum 2 times a week at about 45 minutes to an hour, dependent on their impact of disability. All right. So that's when you know you have a good service, like 2 hours a week of speech or 2 hours a week of OT or an hour and a half a week of OT. That's good. Okay. But 2 30 minutes, not so good. But if they're younger, then it's okay because their attention span is less. But on the opposite end, where I would argue that is at 30 minutes, it takes my child 10 to 15 minutes just to get situated and for you to get her attention. So really that's her getting 15 minutes of speech? I don't think so. So you have to start thinking in that way so that you can then argue in an appropriate way that makes sense, that doesn't look like you're just being combative. All right. So I will talk to you guys later. Have a good night. Hopefully you got a lot out of the tip of the week, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the question and answer over on the group. It's a Q&A, and then Thursday for the content of the week here on the page. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.